Hello, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome back to the Deep 3 podcast. This is Matt, joined as always by Kevin, John, and Sam. How's it going, guys?
It's good.
Good. Can't complain.
Yeah. On today's episode, we have our two way too early predictions for the playoffs and a few awards. So why don't we get right into it, boys? We've got the NBA predictions for the awards. Why don't we start that off? I think the easiest one to go for at the very beginning would be the MVP award. Sam, who do you got?
Look, someone just signed a really big contract, and I think he's going to get that MVP pretty easily. Once again, easily. It's going to be Giannis. We can't doubt the freak. It's going to be, probably the first player to go back to back, I think, ever in history. Be very impressive talent. Obviously, he does have formidable foes as well with Luka and stuff like that. But I think it's going to be Giannis very easily.
That's totally fair. I think that'd be kind of wild for him to get it 3 years in a row. I'm not going to lie. That'd be pretty fucking cool. Kevin, who you got?
Sam's right. Three-peat, baby. Three-peat. Drew Holiday now, too, making the Bucks a little better. Giannis is out for blood. Giannis wants to prove that last year was bogus because they kind of choked in the playoffs. So he's going to be out. He's going to be like, yo, I'm going to put this team on my back. Chris Middleton, Drew, help me out when you can, but I'm the team. And he's going to go out. Easy.
I don't know if you want to associate Drew Holiday with Giannis when we're talking about MVP discussion, but hey, that's your prerogative. John, who do you got for MVP?
Luka Doncic, baby. It's Luka. It's always Luka. It's gonna be Luka. It's gonna be Luka now and Luka forever. It's Luka 30, 10, and 10. Gonna shoot 25% from three. Not gonna matter. It's Luka. The Mavs are gonna be 2 or 3 seed this year. Luka Doncic, easy. Done check. What's for lunch? Goodbye.
Done check. What's for lunch? Oh my god, we all had to expect that coming. I think my MVP of the year is going to be a little bit surprising. I actually kind of have my money on KD. I think that'd be really wild for him to have like this incredible breakout year because we're all going to look at him and we're going to be like, I mean, yes, this is Kevin Durant, but also he's coming back from one of the most insane injuries to happen, and he's still Kevin Durant. Like, I think everybody was expecting him to be at the very lowest, like 75% of himself. Nobody was expecting like to see what he has been, like especially for like from his Golden State years. So I've got KD in there for that little sly shot at the MVP. So next we're going to be talking about the Rookie of the Year, also known as Roy from Super Smash Bros. Sam, who do you got for Rookie of the Year?
I think it's going to be Obi Toppin. I know it's very soon. Yeah. It's a very questionable class. Obi Toppin's just really fun to watch. Just so far, high flying. Just not afraid of anything. Not afraid of the light, especially with New York. It's a tough scene, tough crowd. But I think Obi Toppin would be a great fit. I'm surprised he's a 6-man. Like, pair him with RJ Barrett. I think that it could be a very fun young duo to watch.
Absolutely. I mean, wait, hold on. He's a 6-man?
Yeah, I mean, he comes off the bench. So.
I would just start him if I was the Knicks. Anyway, Kevin, who do you got?
I'm actually going to go with a surprise pick. I don't think any of you will predict that I would pick this guy, but I'm going to go with LaMelo. For the reason, hear me out. I got some, yo. What is Rookie of the Year? Is it a measure of who is actually the best rookie and the best player in future years? No, absolutely not. Absolutely not. It is 80% popularity contest, 20% who is the flashiest motherfucker on the court, and LaMelo Ball is going to be number 1 on that list, on everyone's list. He's a flashy passer, not a good all-around player yet, but he makes for great highlights, and that's what's going to bring him to Rookie of the Year. The other, like, Obi, great, but do you watch Obi highlights all the time? No. Do you watch the Melo highlights regularly? Yes. That's my only reason. That's it.
I mean, honestly, that is a very fair discussion. I think James Harden would agree with you wholeheartedly. John, who do you got for Roy?
Man, how many different ways can I say Patrick Williams?
Yes.
No, I can't actually.
Oh.
No, I'm not gonna say Patrick Williams. I love Patrick Williams. I hope it's him, but it's gonna be James Wiseman. He's probably gonna average a double, and it's a weak class. And I think James is a good bet. He's probably like the only guy you'd want on like your fantasy team. I think we'll see.
John,
not Anthony Edwards, that's for sure.
John, do you have James Wiseman on your fantasy team?
I don't, not yet.
Okay, not yet. Fair enough. For Rookie of the Year, I think I would have to go with Patrick Williams. Anyway, we're gonna go on to Defensive Player of the Year. I'm not gonna explain myself. I'm just gonna say Patrick Williams. He's gonna be the greatest. His floaters are on par with Derrick Rose. Hopefully his ankles aren't on par as Derrick Rose. So Sam, who do you got for Defensive Player of the Year?
I think we need to show some love to the Lakers fans that listen to us, and just Kevin's homies, his family back home in LA.
Family in LA.
Anthony Davis. He and him are very tight. Basically knows his agent. I know Kevin's got a deal, $2.5 million in the bags coming soon. Might file a lawsuit later, but I mean, regardless of that, Anthony Davis, put up stupendous defensive numbers in the bubble playoffs. It was scary to watch. It was scary overall all around, but you don't want to go into pain when it comes to Anthony Davis. He made every guard make sure that if you come in, you're going to be on the ground ASAP. And I just think Anthony Davis is going to continue that grind into this next season as well.
Absolutely. I think I was actually kind of surprised that Anthony Davis hasn't gotten that already, but I guess Rudy Gooby has to have it for whatever reason. Kevin, who do you got?
Exactly what Sam said. It's Anthony Davis, obviously. I think
you got
quick hype up here. I think the progression that Anthony Davis made, even from the start of the season last year to the finals last year, is significant. Not huge, but significant. And I think he's going to continue to grow as a player under LeBron, especially. And so this year, I think he's a very, very high chance for Defensive Player of the Year.
Absolutely. You know what? I just couldn't agree with you more. John, who do you got?
Look, the best way to lose out in award season is to be on a team with LeBron James. It's not going to be Anthony Davis. It's going to be a certain Benjamin Simmons.
Oh,
that's who's going to be your Defensive Player of the Year. The man who can comfortably guard 1 through 4 and 5 if you need it. But you don't because you have Joel Embiid. And so he's one of the most switchable defenders in the league. He's a really smart team defender, but like a lockdown individual defender. And he's not got to worry about doing anything else on the other side of the floor. So it's going to be Ben Simmons locking you down on defense and running over you in transition. And that's going to be, that's what he does. That's his bread and butter. And I think the league is going to want to recognize him for it this year.
Absolutely. And I have Zach LaVine. We're going to go. I'm kidding. I'm not going to pick Zach LaVine for that. No way. He's got to show me more. For Defensive Player of the Year, I want to hop on that bandwagon with Anthony Davis, but I'm not going to do that. I'm probably just going to actually end up with Marcus Smart. I think he showed a lot of potential for that Defensive Player of the Year last year. He's one of the very few players that I've seen who will fucking dive for the ball and who puts his all into making those really strong defensive plays. He's one of the players on the Celtics, in my personal opinion, who really shined through all of the injuries that happened that season. He's typically a bench player, typically was on the bench. But when Gordon Hayward got injured, he got his time to shine, and he did spectacularly well. And I think he'll just continue to do well. What was that, Sam?
Huh? Keep it going. Keep it going.
All right, let's go to Sam. Which player do you personally want taking the last shot on your team? Who is the most clutch?
Oh, okay. So that's an interesting question that we've had in many podcasts. I'm not going to pick a very very obvious answer. And for me, it's going to be Chris Paul. The thing with Chris Paul is when there's 10 seconds left and you give Chris Paul a full court, you're guaranteed a bucket at that point. We saw him with the Clippers. He broke my heart against the Spurs every time when he did that. Only thing I'm concerned about is if his hamstrings can survive his jump shot at this point. But I just feel really good. If I'm a Chris Paul fan, I feel really good at getting the ball in his hands because he can make any magic happen at that point.
Sounds good. Kevin, who do you got for clutch?
I could pick the obvious ones. I could pick LeBron. I could pick Steph. I could pick Dame. But I'm actually going to also go with kind of out of left field, Devin Booker. I think Devin Booker, especially in the bubble, like really showing his clutchness and his ability to shoot. He doesn't care if he's covered. He doesn't care if he's whatever, if he's running. I think he's got the guy I'd take right now, and he's got something to prove. He really wants to show that he's actually a top tier player, and he's clearly not. I don't know if he's there yet, so I think he's gonna do everything he can to make those last shots and win those games.
John, who do you got for clutch?
Wow. I thought about picking Luka for this as well, but I'm not going to because the answer I'm going to pick is one of the greatest shot makers in the history of the NBA, and it's Kevin Durant. Kevin Durant. That's who I want to take the last shot. He is probably the most likely to make it on average from any spot on the floor. Give it to Kevin. He'll shoot over, or this Kevin, I guess, but he'll shoot over.
No,
he'll shoot over anyone who's guarding him. I trust him to get a shot from literally anywhere. It's Kevin Durant. That's my pick.
Yes, absolutely. I would actually have Luka. I have Luka for that one. I think he showed us his top tier, incredible shooting skills and clutchness from the bubble last year. Really side note, if you guys want to see Kevin shooting a basketball, it is a real treat, and we should definitely post that to YouTube.
Smash that like button.
Anyway, really quickly, why don't we go into the Sam? Which player acquisition will be the biggest impact?
This is tough because there was a lot of movement, but it wasn't anything I would think was very huge. I was going to pick Serge Ibaka, but I think I'm going to pick Russell Westbrook. And I think just because offensive juggernaut, just in the wrong conference the whole time. I think if this guy was in the East, this guy could have done some serious damage. I know the guy has his flaws, especially as a shooter, but once he's in the paint, you can't stop him. The guy is a bulldozer at this point. And he's still got it. For the way he plays, he's still relatively healthy compared to, other players that have suffered a lot. Once again, Blake Griffin. Stop jumping, Blake Griffin. Don't jump again, Blake Griffin. But I think Russell Westbrook would be a great fit with that team just because there's no real identity with that team. As much as we like Bradley Beal as a scorer, it's just when I thought of the Washington Wizards, I still thought of John Wall, surprisingly. But I think with Russell Westbrook, we can put Washington back at the map.
All right, I like it. Kevin, who do you got?
I went back and forth on this one. Again, I'm going to try. No. I'm a Blake's hype man, but I'm not that much of a hype. But kind of similarly, y'all are gonna hate me for this. I'm not gonna pick a superstar. I'm gonna pick someone who adds value to a team that already has superstars. Easy to guess. I'm gonna go with Dennis Schroeder to the Lakers. I think having a point guard on that, having a competent, good, consistent playmaking point guard on that team adds a lot of value. That means LeBron doesn't have to constantly play point guard, and you don't have to have fucking Rondo at 39 ancient-year-old Rondo playing point guard on that team. You can have an actual offensive-minded point guard. I think that it adds a lot. I think the chemistry is going to be there really quickly. I think it's going to be an awesome and fun team to watch this year, even more than last year.
All right, fair enough. John, who do you got?
I got two, and they're going to be really fast. It's Christian Wood. I've talked about him a lot on the other pod, so you should listen to that if you want to know my thoughts on him. The other one is it's Josh Richardson to the Mavericks. Ooh. That's it, because he's an actual long, fairly big wing defender who can competently shoot. Mavs are surrounding Luka with shooters. And now they're giving him some defenders too, someone who can actually, be useful on the wing on defense, so they don't got to throw Seth Curry at people. So yeah, I got Josh Richardson and also a little side of Christian Wood too.
Fair enough. I was actually going to go with Dennis Schroeder until Kevin took him, just because of the shock effect of him going to the Lakers. But I'm actually going to pick Chris Paul. I think Chris Paul makes the Suns maybe not significantly better, but definitely a better team, because adding that kind of value to him, to the Suns, is just such a better move than having Ricky Rubio on there. That's just the first name that came to my head. I don't know why. Sam, which player forces opposing coaches to make the most adjustments? Let's run through this very quickly.
I went just a simple fine wine and dine. I'm pick LeBron James. You can't really have an answer for him, and the best part is he doesn't have to answer all the questions, because that's the Anthony Davis at this point, right? I mean, like, what else do you have to do at this point? Like I said, my favorite LeBron is not scoring LeBron; it's facilitating LeBron. LeBron has so many tricks in his bag. I showed you the guys that clip of LeBron in Cleveland doing that no-look pass and fool that entire old Lakers team. It was just a good feeling to watch that. I don't know why, but. I think LeBron, you can't guard him. We played 2K. You can't guard him. Him and Kevin Durant, it's game over at that point.
Fair enough. Kevin, who do you got?
It's LeBron. Period. Move on. Let's go.
Did you only pick? Hold on. Sorry. Did you only pick Lakers players?
No, I did not. Rookie of the year. MVP. I picked Giannis.
Okay.
All right, that's fine. John, who do you got?
Yeah, I was also gonna say LeBron, but just so that I can, I guess, say something a little different, I'll go with Kevin Durant.
Yeah,
because I think it's really hard to game plan against someone who just, like, there's not a spot on the floor where you can specifically stop him.
I'm going to go with Kevin Durant as well, piggybacking off of John. He's the all-time one of the best scorers in the league.
I can't believe no one said
nearly impossible to defend. What, Sam?
I can't believe no one said James Harden in this one.
I think he's the one that he won the GM poll, I think. James Harden.
Yeah, fair enough. All right, so we're going to be moving on to the next segment, which is our playoff predictions. We're going to start with the 1 through 10 seed in the Eastern Conference, and then we're going to go into the Western Conference. So, Kevin, lead us off with the Eastern Conference, number 1 seed. And this is aggregate rankings, by the way, just all around. So it's not like...
Yeah, we all did our own rankings, and then I averaged them out. And when there were unbreakable ties, I made a game time call.
Unlike Brett Brown, gotcha.
Yeah.
Fair enough. Kevin, who do you got? Start us out.
First in the East, I think is obvious to everyone in general. Bucks. Milwaukee Bucks. Giannis is just going to be unstoppable during the regular season. He's going to have those insane, like 30, 40-point games, still 10 rebounds, still play defense. And the rest of the Bucks team is starting to build up around him. So I think it's going to be obvious that they're going to get first seed.
Fair enough. Number 2, I have the Nets. And the more that John started talking about the Nets, the more he just kept convincing me that, honestly, they're going to be just a destructive team. And seeing how KD and Kyrie have been playing, especially KD, I can't see them lower than a 2 seed. I really, really can't. Because, again, all-time leading scorer, Mr. Kevin Durant. John, who you got for number 3?
Yeah, so this is actually the team that I had as my 2 seed, and it's the Miami Heat, who I think deserve a little bit of fucking respect on their name, because they're the fucking defending Eastern Conference champions, made the Bucks look like chumps in the playoffs. I think that, like, this Heat team, they're going to come back. They're one of the most disciplined teams in the league, and they're going to be getting growth out of Bam Adebayo, who already proved that he's, like, top-tier center talent in the league, and he's going to get even better this year. Jimmy Butler's a great player. This team is just going to continue to grow. They have a lot of continuity, and if that doesn't work, they can still always maybe just add James Harden. So I think I like the Heat, and we have them at the 3, but I would have put them at the 2 seed, especially because defensively they're going to be way better than the Nets. Way better than the Nets defensively.
Ooh, yeah. I mean, Yeah, that's a good one. Sam at number 4.
It was my number one team as of the last season, as soon as we did our first podcast, the Philadelphia 76ers, who played team big very poorly and so badly that they had to go completely dump their entire roster, but still managed to keep their 2 superstars because of 2 key things. Daryl Morey, who we all know is a GM genius, and Doc Rivers, who I think was the greatest steal in coaching. I wish the Knicks had actually waited and not got to Tom Thibodeau. I don't know what the rush was at that point, but Doc Rivers is a great coach. I think we all know that. Sure, it might have been the same broken record in the Clippers, but he's in the East now. He's out of that way too tough of a conference where now he can actually be a competitive, who I had the 76ers as a 3 seed. So once again, these guys are delusional. I don't know what they were thinking in their decision to disrespect the 76ers, but all around, it's just an exciting team somehow. Like, they didn't really do any big pieces, but the right supporting cast, Danny Green, Seth Curry. Who else do you need at that point, right? You got 4 players. Who else do you need?
Oh, my God. Yeah, whatever. All right, at number 5, which should have been higher than Sam's pick, the Celtics. So, look, this team is progressively getting better. They're progressively getting better continuity with each other. And I think that we saw last year with Kemba adding on to the team. Yes, you know what? They lost to the Heat last year in the playoffs. Understandably so. The Heat is a great team. But the fact that the Celtics have proved themselves to be a much better team without Kyrie has shown me a lot of hope for that team. And adding Tristan Thompson, you know what? He may not be the biggest name in the world, but he is definitely a better name than Daniel Tice. So I just see better things for the Celtics, in my opinion. John, who do you got?
All right, coming in as the 6th seed in the East, we got the Tampa Bay Raptors this year. Look, I mean, it's kind of just like the same thing as the similar to the Heat. They're going to be a really good defensive team. They're going to be the best coach team in the league by Nick Nurse. They're going to have a lot of continuity with their roster, except for losing Marc Gasol and Serge Ibaka. They're bringing back a lot of the key pieces who actually run their offense. And hopefully Pascal Siakam is much better than he looked in the bubble because it was really rough. But I think that was an aberration. I think that he's going to prove himself this year. And yeah, I like the Raptors as a 6th seed. I don't think that this is not a title contending team for me anymore. I think last year was kind of their last shot to get there in that Eastern Conference, but Raptors are good, and I like them as a 6th seed.
Fair enough. Kevin at number 7.
I think accurately placed, the Wizards. I think the addition of Russell Westbrook, they wouldn't have even been close to this spot without him. But I think Westbrook and Beal together are going to be a great duo. I think they complement each other very, very well. I think they're going to put up combined a lot of points, a lot of assists. And then you got my boy Rui. Rui, I think, is going to come into his own this year. Hopefully. You also got Benny as their pickup this year in the draft, who I think is going to be a great addition to them. I think they're on the up and up after having a rough couple past years with John Wall being injured. But I think they're gonna be in that 7-8 seed and screwed into the playoffs.
Like I said, it's a very typical spot for the Wizards, perpetually stuck there. Sam, who do you got at number 8?
My favorite team, my new favorite team of the East, the Atlanta Hawks, ladies and gentlemen. A pure offensive juggernaut soon to be in the next 3 to 5 years. I think the Atlanta Hawks definitely deserve the playoff spot. I mean, they made a lot of great moves. They stole some pretty possibly overrated talent, but I think some solid talent. I don't know how they did it. Like I said, the strip clubs in Atlanta must be popping because they're attracting everyone. James Harden, you want the hookup? We got you at that point. But Trae Young, Bogdanovich, Danilo, John Collins, Kevin Porter, they have a good, solid offensive team. Sure, no one will play defense at that point, but it's the Suns mentality at this point. If you can score more points than anyone else, why play defense, right? So, easy playoff team.
And at number 9, speaking of perpetually stuck in a very awkward place in the playoffs, John, give us your number 9.
Yeah, so this team, I guess right now, based on our aggregate, we have them fighting in the play-in games, not even actually an official playoff spot technically yet, but it's the Pacers, the Indiana Pacers. And look, this could totally change if Victor Oladipo can come back and prove himself to be the player that he once was. I have plenty of doubts about that based on what we've seen. Yeah. I hope that would happen, but Sabonis is a really good player. Brogdon's a good player. They're just like a good team. I wonder about their coaching after losing Nate McMillan, who was a really good coach that I don't understand why they fired him. So yeah, I feel like we're fine putting the Pacers in this kind of like probably 7 to 10 range that they're in, just because they have continuity, but they don't have a lot of people who are really like stars pushing them over the top. So it's going to just depend on great chemistry for them to get into the playoffs again.
For sure. And lastly, at number 10, we have the Hornets. I specifically put them at this spot. This was unanimous. Everybody had them at number 10. I think it's mainly because of the jerseys. It just looks so much better than Orlando. We all have to be honest at this one. Look, number 10 spot in the East is nothing to brag about in the slightest. But in my honest opinion, I think if LaMelo gets his shooting better, if he just blows up this year, looks so much better than just facilitating the ball, I think they really have a good shot at least getting that 10th spot in the playoffs. Again, it's the East. It's not hard to do, but at least they would have LaMelo, and it could be a fun team to watch at the very, very least. All right. Why don't we run through our final thoughts? Maybe we have conflictions about a certain spot, a team with a certain spot, or maybe just something that somebody said. Sam, what is your final thought of these rankings?
The East is, it's a stereotypical, kind of easy to predict. I mean, obviously we do respect the top 3-4 teams, but once you start going down the ladder, it's lackluster. There's just not a lot of talent at that point. Thank God we got rid of the Orlando Magic because they're going to be here at this point. But let's put some respect on my Hawks, guys. Come on now, you guys are throwing them out here like they're at least a 6 seed. Come on, don't give me that.
No,
don't give me that. These are conference finals contenders. Conference finals contenders.
I'm gonna vomit really quickly. Kevin, what are your final thoughts?
I think I just got a little bout of food poisoning from hearing that disease-ridden take that you think the Hawks are going to be a 6 seed. Oh my god. I think otherwise, I think this lineup is pretty solid. I think Hornets might be a little higher depending on how everyone on their team kind of ends up being. But I also think that you could say that for a lot of teams. I think the Pacers are the same way. If the Pacers can actually get their shit together and play well as a team, I think they can easily make 7 or 8 seed at the very minimum. I'm also worried about the Raptors being that high. I think they have a lot of potential to kind of fall apart, as we saw at the end of the season last year. They were kind of Siakam especially was looking weirdly bad. So I'm interested to see how they do during the regular season.
Siakam is definitely the biggest question mark on that team. And you know what? If Fred VanVleet has another child, maybe we're looking at it a little bit differently. John, final thoughts? Yeah, 1 seed, absolutely. John, final thoughts?
Yeah, I think that the East is, like we said, I don't think there's like a lot to really critique super hard here. The Nets are going to just be a big question mark because I really don't think that there's anyone on that team that can play defense except maybe Kevin Durant. So I'm kind of like, I don't know what to expect from the Nets defensively, but offensively, we know they'll light it up. So that could be enough. I think top 3 is a good place to put them. The Celtics, I have a lot of questions as far as like if they can defend any of the bigs in this conference. It's difficult to picture them being able to like effectively stop Joel Embiid or to stop Bam Adebayo or even Giannis to some extent. Like, I don't know. It's really dependent on Tatum taking a leap. Kemba being healthy is also going to be really important for them, which is a massive question mark. So other than that, I don't have many problems with how these actually turned out for the East. I think that it's like pretty straightforward for the East for me, at least right now.
So John has question marks about the Nets and the Celtics. Kevin has a question mark about the Raptors. Sam has a very delusional thought on the Hawks. And I have a question mark with the surprisingly Bucks. I think the biggest thing for me with the Bucks is maybe they're not a number 1 seed. And you know what? It's hard for me to say that because, again, Giannis, 2-time MVP. But I don't have that kind of confidence that Drew Holiday is going to make that team better than they were last year. Maybe Giannis can put it on his shoulders again if Budenholzer actually gives Giannis the minutes that he needs. Then maybe we're having a different conversation. But if he's still getting that 30-minute per game, I mean, I don't know what the fuck you're doing at that point. I really don't. The Bucks are just such a question mark. When you're looking at that team's depth, they have lost a lot of talent, in my opinion. They really have, and it's a little bit concerning for me personally.
I think it's like a playoff question mark for me more than a regular season one, though. That's how I feel.
That's
I think in the
totally
playoffs, definitely a question mark. In the regular season, I just think the way that they run their system and the way that Giannis operates in the regular season, I just think they're going to be
Giannis will be towering over people constantly in the regular season. I kind of see that for the Nets as well. I just can't see KD slowing down during the regular season unless for his injury acts up. But as we've seen so far, that just isn't the case. So that was the Eastern Conference. Why don't we move on to the Western Conference, starting at number 1, Mr. Kevin O'Brien. Shocker.
I mean, is this a surprise to anyone?
This was also unanimous.
It's going to be Lakers, easy. Like, no question whatsoever. Lakers. Say it with me, folks. Talen Horton-Tucker. Gonna be the best, the third best player on that team. He's gonna be so good. It was amazing. He's incredible in preseason. He's gonna come out and pop. But kind of memes aside, that the starting lineup for that team is unparalleled in the entire NBA. I think LeBron, AD, Gasol, Schroeder, Montrez. Then you got KCP, Wesley Matthews, Kuz, Caruso, and Horton-Tucker. Come on, like all of those guys. You have 10 guys solid who are really good players. There's no way they're not 1 seed.
That's totally fair. Number 2, we have Sam.
As much as we like to bash him on this podcast, we do have to give him some props a little bit. It's the Los Angeles Clippers, right? It's your friendly Los Angeles Clippers. As much as they lost a lot of talent, they actually gained a lot of improvements in those positions. We do have to agree that, at least in my opinion, I think their starting lineup has actually improved much better compared to last year. Last year had maybe a little bit of a deeper bench. This year kind of vice versa. So I'm really excited about the Serge Ibaka addition. I think that was a great move. We all know Montrezl Harrell doesn't actually play defense. Man's a little too short, but Serge Ibaka, Kevin, say it with me, Serge Ibaka. Am I right? That's enough for me to even just put these guys at like an actual threat, just because the guy has won a title with the Toronto Raptors. His role was actually very well there, under the experience with Marc Gasol as well. It'll be very interesting to see how they partner with the other vets. I know Nick Batum, my French boy, I love him more than Rudy Gobert for sure, easily at this point. Basically, what you're keeping here and relying on is Kawhi Leonard, the newly re-signed Paul George as well. I think the starting lineup can do some damage along with Luke Kennard, a big upgrade from Landry Shamet. So, I mean, these guys are going to be a serious threat. Battle of LA. We're looking forward to it.
I like it. Number 3, we have the Nuggets. Look, I think last year's playoff spot has really shown that the underdog is going to the Denver Nuggets every single time. Jokic has really shown that he wants this, that he really, really wants it. We saw him slim down a ton for the playoffs, and there are huge question marks on how well he was going to be able to play with that. And he did really well. He was showing up like no other. I think the biggest thing for this season is whether or not Michael Porter Jr. can really, really step it up. I think we've seen good things coming from him for the playoffs and in the bubble. But if for whatever reason he takes a step back and he doesn't keep improving, that's my biggest question. I actually had the Denver Nuggets at number 2. I'm a little bit lower on the Clippers than I think some of us are. But number 3, I'm going to give it to Denver. And at number 4, John.
Okay, I'm coming for Denver later, but I have at number 4. It's the Dallas Mavericks, who I of course put at number 3. Look, this team got better in every single way this offseason. They upgraded everywhere that they needed to upgrade. Dwight Powell's coming back, who's going to actually be a useful big for them. Kristaps has reportedly looked very healthy already, but they're not going to even let him start playing until January. In fact, I think that the only reason they would be lower than a 3 seed is just because they might struggle coming out of the gate without KP. But I think once he's back, I think this team is going to be easily one of the best in the West. They're going to maintain their really strong and potent offense because they have shooters all over the floor at every single position, and they have Luka Doncic, who is an elite offense in and of himself, top-tier creator, top-tier scorer. And I think that this team is going to be a real major threat in the West, though I don't know how much that means when the Lakers are there.
Sounds good. Luka is going to destroy us all. At number 5, Sam.
I mean, let's be real. This is probably the most consistent team that we've seen over the last 5 years because they've had the same backcourt for the past 7 years. And that's the Portland Trailblazers. I think it's a fan favorite team. You can't really bash on them too much. Small market. They try their best every year. Get to the second round, and then you meet the Lakers, or you meet a Clipper team, or you meet just a really good team. Then it just kind of sucks that you're kind of paired that way. But once again, you have Damian Lillard, who did sign a big contract. CJ McCollum also perfect duo with him in terms of when Dame's not hot, CJ does pick it up. We can agree on that. Big signing with Robert Covington. I think it was almost a steal at that point. I'm not sure what the Rockets really did there. John's boy Nurk coming back full form now. We saw him in the bubble, did some damage, but now we can see a full season with him. Going to be great, but we're just running it back. That's the thing. We're just running it back out of pieces. How do you get better? How do you get better? And this team looks really good, so I'm really excited to see how this team goes.
Very nice, very nice. Number 6, Kevin.
Listen, no disrespect to any of those top 5 teams. I think they're all really good teams, but y'all put the Warriors at 6 seed. That's wild to me. That's wild. Steph Curry coming back, Draymond Green coming back. You got Kelly Oubre additionally. You got James Wiseman. You got Wiggins. You got a full starting lineup now. To put them at the 6th seed, listen, I'm not trying to say they're going to be 1st or 2nd seed, but put the Blazers above them? Come on. I think that's kind of rude. I'm like the Blazers for sure, but damn, y'all are really hating on the Warriors. I think they should be 4 seed area. But yeah, that's where we got them, 6 seeds. So we'll see.
Right, well, Kevin will. I'm sure that he's just going to go off of that a little bit later. At number 7, we have Sam. What do you got for number 7?
Number 7, we talked about this team quite a bit, mostly their issues that they've had with their very famous superstar. Houston Rockets surprisingly did really good moves in the offseason. Somehow attracted a really big talent with all the drama going on. They did make the trade. They got rid of Russell Westbrook, who didn't want to be there. They got John Wall, who we didn't see in a while, but we saw some of the preseason games. Did ball out along with his epic duo, Boogie Cousins. John's boy, Christian Wood, really balling out once again. Along with that, you still have some of the old vets. You have Daniel House, who was the first player kicked out of the bubble. So maybe that's a good sign. Maybe it's a good sign. But Eric Gordon, PJ Tucker, hopefully we see James Harden play out at least some of the season. Just kind of curious to see how this team would work. James Harden finally actually having a team. It's not just small ball. You actually have a real big that can play. So it'd be really fun to see. I think a little bit disrespectful just with James Harden still on the roster, but I can see why.
That's totally understandable. We'll see what James Harden does. At number 8, we have the Suns. Ladies and gentlemen, Chris Paul added to the team really makes that look a lot better. Say it with me. Chris Paul is better than Ricky Rubio. Look, Devin Booker, he's going to be great. He's a fantastic shooting guard, and now they have Chris Paul on the team. He's going to be able to facilitate the ball much better, not to mention that he's one of the best mid-range shots in the league. Whether that keeps it up, we'll see. But honestly, from last year, him on OKC, it doesn't seem like he's slowing down anytime soon. I really like him. It's going to be really nice to see DeAndre Ayton have a full year ahead of him. He did fantastic when he came back last year. I'm really psyched to see him play. So, look, the West is a tough conference, but I really do like the Suns at this spot, maybe even higher. I don't know yet. At number 9, Kevin, who do you got?
Grizzlies. I think this is probably going to be pretty accurate. I don't think they're going to get that coveted 8th seed to get in, but I think they're going to be fighting for it the whole way. I think they just don't have enough star talent on their team. They have a lot of okay players and a deep team, I guess, if you can call it that, in terms of okay players, but they don't have a lot of stars. They have Ja and they have Triple J, and that's about it. I can't give any props to Grayson Allen because he looks like Ted Cruz. Valanciunas is pretty okay for a big man. Brandon Clark is a very mid-tier also. Like it's a lot of guys that are average players. So I think they're gonna hit that like middle tier spot, which I think the 9 seed is perfect for them.
That's fair. And lastly, John at number 10.
Look, what are these play-in games for if not for this very team, the New Orleans Pelicans, baby? That's who we're here for. It's Zion time. Look, I think this is actually the team that's most likely to kind of shock everyone and end up a little higher than we're thinking, and it really comes down to what Zion looks like this year. If preseason is any indication, which it usually isn't really, he's going to be incredible. He's already unstoppable. If he can play some defense, this team is going to be it's going to be unreal. Brandon Ingram's a great player. Lonzo is better than what we saw in the bubble, and I think this is just a good young roster. Steven Adams is a really great vet for them. The spacing will be weird, but like when you got a guy like Zion on your team, you're kind of always you're always in the discussion for like being a playoff team. And honestly, if we look at like the 7 through 10 in the West versus the 7 through 10 in the East, it's like night and day. Like these Western Conference teams that are going to be in the 7 through 10 seed are all really good teams. Mm-hmm. They are, but they're not like, it's just they're in an incredibly difficult conference, and that's the toughest part. But Pelicans at 10 feels fitting for the moment, and you could probably swap them with the Grizzlies if you wanted to. Either way, they're about, kind of the same level.
Absolutely fair. Ladies and gentlemen, that was our Western Conference Finals take. Sam, why don't you start us off with your final notes on our rankings?
I think we did pretty good. And look, I'm not here. I love Luka. The problem is that this team is just built on Luka. I don't really have that much confidence in the Mavericks. I do think my prediction as an 8 seed was very low, but I don't see them breaking into the third or fourth, as a lot of you guys predicted. The reason is I think this team just needs a couple of years of actual chemistry. We didn't get to see KP play as much due to his injury. I do like the Maxi Kleber as a good addition. Dwight Powell was phenomenal. It's a shame that we lost him to an Achilles injury. Otherwise, that was a real working duo. Josh Richardson, a little hesitant just in terms of his injury, the injuries he's gone through. I don't think he's going to play more than half a season, in my opinion. But this team is built on people who are trying to prove a point. Like, I love me some Jalen Brunson, all right? I love them Nova boys, all right? They know how to facilitate the game better than anyone. I mean, we see with DiVincenzo, guys like that. And the guy I'm looking forward to is Josh Green. I think that would be a solid pickup. And Tyrell Terry, I think those got to be some serious damage. But I think it's a little high for me right now.
All right, Kevin?
I think y'all disrespected the Warriors. I think put the Warriors at 4 seed and move everyone else down. So you have Mavs at 5, Blazers at 6. I think that's almost a perfect setup. Otherwise, I think the biggest teams I'm worried about are Rockets and Pelicans in terms of placements. In just so far as like Rockets could really blow it this year, especially if they trade away James Harden and don't get a lot of current assets. Like maybe they get future picks or whatever, but if they don't get someone that will help them now, they're going to fall really fast. And conversely, I think what John said about the Pelicans is they're the biggest team that I think can make a jump from 10 to 7 or even like a 6 seed if they are really playing on point. Like Brandon Ingram is really good. Steven Adams is a great addition. Zion's could be scary if he's healthy. Like they have a lot of good players. So I think they could really jump up pretty high pretty quick.
All right. And John?
I'm gonna just really quickly talk about the Rockets because we talk about them a lot, but like just basically that they're the hardest team to predict in the entire league, just because we don't know what's gonna happen with their main superstar. So until then, I want a mulligan on this podcast. We don't know what to expect. No one does. No one can accurately predict what the Rockets will be this year. But this feels fine for like what we kind of know, assuming James Harden will be gone. The team that I think is in the wrong spot is the Nuggets, and I'm not high on the Nuggets. I don't think that they're like, I love Jokic and Murray was great in the playoffs, but like Murray is like a reverse James Harden, and that like he is just so useless in the regular season. You just like can't depend on him because he's so on and off again. But in the playoffs, like he's great. But it's just like that's why when it comes to seeding, I don't know that I trust him to help this team get into the top 4 because he's so inconsistent in the regular season until proven otherwise. And I think that losing Jeremy Grant is kind of major for them because he was basically their only reliable wing defender. Otherwise, they're going to have to like toss out like PJ Dozier. Like Michael Porter Jr. is not playing defense. And we don't even know if he can actually be healthy for a whole season. Like he's a major injury risk. And we don't know if he's going to be even comfortable in the system. Like, so I have a lot of questions about the Nuggets, and that's why I don't trust. I think I have them 5 in my ranking. Like, I think they'll still be very good, but I think that like they have some problems that I think are going to make the regular season very turbulent potentially.
That's totally understandable. I had the Nuggets at number 2, like I said earlier, and the reason I had them so high is mainly because every single year I'm always low on them, and they always outdo my expectations. Look, Jokic is clearly your best player. Jamal Murray, like John said, he's a playoff star. He always has been. The biggest thing for me is I'm a little bit higher on Michael Porter Jr. than most people are. I really do see the potential for him to be incredible. And whether or not he plays defense or not, I don't really necessarily think that makes them a worse team. I think what they lose at defense, they gain in offense with Michael Porter Jr. I think he's going to make up everything that Jeremy Grant might not have for them anymore. But again, I'm a little bit higher on Michael Porter Jr. I think maybe the playoffs, I think maybe Jamal Murray may have like turned a switch on or something along those lines, and he might do well in the regular season. Again, everything that John said is very accurate. It's all based in stats and whatnot and injury prone, but I'm really, really looking forward to seeing how well Michael Porter Jr. plays. If I'm thinking about it, if I could change something, maybe I put the Mavericks above the Nuggets. Maybe I put them a little bit higher, but just because Luka can do whatever he wants, I don't know. But look, I'm high on the Nuggets. I think they're going to do great things, honestly. Thank you, ladies and gentlemen, for listening to our show. This has been the Deep 3 Podcast. You can find us on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, or wherever you listen to us. You can also find us on YouTube, see our beautiful faces. And Kevin, I always have to put that in there. I'm sorry, buddy. You have a beautiful face. You can also follow us on Instagram and Twitter at the Deep 3 Pod. We have the fire memes, everybody. Kevin is posting some great shit, and you'll want to follow us for it. John's got the Twitter sphere, so he's going to be dealing with all the crackheads on there. And you can email us at the deep3podcast@gmail.com for any questions or inquiries or anything of as such. Thank you guys so much for listening to the show, and have a good night. Peace.